right, boys and girls, in Google Classroom, I put 2 homework jobs for you to do. The first one was to listen to me and watch me as I read from my teacher book, Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I think we all know that story, but if you didn't, you got to see what the story was all about. And then another homework assignment for you was to go on Epic and look for a book called The Three Bears. There's no Goldilocks in the title, it's just The Three Bears. And hopefully you got the computer to work so Epic read the story to you. They're basically the same story, but they're not identical. So what the big kids do, and we're practicing how to be a big kid and how to move into first grade and then second grade and third grade, is the big kids pay attention to the details in a story. They listen to the words, they look at the pictures, and they really pay attention to what's in the pictures, and they make a picture in their mind too. They use their imagination to understand the story. And when they look at 2 stories like we did, I was reading Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and then Epic was reading Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Big kids look at both stories and they see how they're the same and they see how they're different. And that's sometimes how you learn when you get older, is you look at things to see how they're different and how they're the same. And what the kids call it when they get older is compare and contrast. And when you compare 2 things, like the 2 stories, you tell how they are the same. So let's see now. Both stories talked about the bears wanting to eat their porridge, but they were afraid it was too hot, so they went for a walk. Both bears left their house and Goldilocks snuck in. She shouldn't have gone in, it wasn't her house. Something that was the same in both stories, is that she broke the little chair. So that was the same in both stories. So that's the compare part. Compare, how things are the same. Contrast, how you contrast is you tell how things are different. So with the 2 stories, I don't think the bears looked the same. Both had bears. They were the same that way, but they were different because they looked really different. So that's how they were different. I noticed a big change. One thing that really stuck out to me when I was looking at the stories, my eyes picked up the details in the pictures. In the story I read to you, Goldilocks went upstairs and there were different bedrooms upstairs where the bears slept. But in the Epic story, on Epic, all 3 beds were in the same room. So that was a little different. In the story I read to you, Goldilocks had to jump out the window. She ran down the roof, jumped off the roof, and ran away. In the Epic storybook, she just ran right out the door and ran away. So they had things that were a little bit different. So I want you to think about the 2 books. Think about what was the same. How can you compare them? So I want you to take a paper like this, and I want you to put up at the top, maybe Mom and Dad can help you, compare, which means the same, and make a little chart. Here comes my dog, and I think she's going to be barking. Let's see if she does. Here's my, what are you doing? What are you doing here? So you're going to take a piece of paper, compare, and I want you to draw 2 pictures. One picture from the story I read, one picture from the book from Epic, and tell me how they were the same. When you're done with that picture, and I want nice details, I want colors and details so I can tell what you're drawing. I want you to flip your paper over, and then I want you to contrast the 2 books. And Mom and Dad can maybe help you write contrast different and make the 2 sides of the paper. And I want you to draw a picture from my book that I read and draw a picture from the Epic book and tell me how they are different. easy peasy, 4 little pictures. So the takeaway from today's lesson, what I really want you to learn is that readers use something called compare and contrast to really understand books and learn new information. And when you compare things, you talk about how they are alike, and when you contrast things, you talk about how they're different. So that's our lesson for today with Goldilocks and the Three Bears, comparing and contrasting. Thank you.